In our first story, Bogatanga Senior High School in the Upper East region has been closed down. The closure follows the arrest of 5 students after an overnight rampage by some students protesting the death of a colleague on Monday. An intervention by the police to prevent further clashes also led to 5 other students being hospitalized for various degrees of injuries. The students have been protesting the death of their colleague, whom they said jumped to his death after the senior housemaster gave him a hot chase.
Usually, such cases like this, you need the job of the pathologist who will come in to do that. So at least we are now, you have to arrange for a pathologist to come to give us the cause of death as to what has happened, not any other distance. So the pathologist automatically will be brought in to make sure that we get the facts or the issue of what has made the child to die. So that will be done, and literally you do it, you will get an update on that.
Okay. But besides that, is there any latest as far as the investigation?
No, for investigation, I can't tell you anything now. As I told you, the investigations are going on. Until finally everything is over, then we can know when we have really reached. I can't tell you that so and so. No, we are investigating. It's only the students who probably we have arrested. At least that one. As far as demonstrations are concerned in school, we know how to deal with it. Since they are the recalcitrant ones trying to foment trouble, at least there's a way of keeping them from the school so that they'll be calm, relatively calm and stop. So I think that is what we are doing for now. And for students to go back to be setting probably vehicle ablaze, I think that one we need to think of it, and the school will advise. Yesterday, policemen were deployed on the ground, especially on the school premises, to make sure that to maintain law and order. But in the night, some of the recalcitrant students felt the damage they caused to the alleged senior housemaster's vehicle was not enough. So they went ahead to set it ablaze, and the police quickly went into forestall order over it. But they started throwing stones at the police, and they need to be very patient as the law demands. And finally, they happened to arrest 5 ringleaders who were really were causing a problem at the school. And at the moment, they are in the police custody, whilst policemen are patrolling the campus to make sure there's calm. I think this morning there will be some meeting, and maybe commander and others will be going to the campus at least to see things for themselves, and if possible to call the whole student body to the assembly hall to talk to them, at least to hold the peace whilst investigation moves on in the issue that is at stake now.
The Afrobarometer findings has indicated corruption has increased over the year. The report also noted government has performed badly in tackling corruption. My colleague Aisha Ibrahim joins me online. She has been with the news conference happening right now on the Afrobarometer findings. Hello, Aisha.
Hello, Gladys.
Right, thank you for joining us. Tell us quickly, how did it go?
Well, we have been listening to presentations from the Afrobarometer team on trust and corruption in public institutions. And what we gather here is that mistrust of public institutions and officials is especially high, including Parliament, police, the judiciary, the law, the executive, and all of that. And then they think that the level of trust for them has reduced. But one interesting thing is that the military, these people have shown so much trust in the military, this time round. We're told that more than half of the respondents, or in 9 regions, believe both formal and informal leaders are involved in corruption. And we're also told that 75% of these respondents believe that corruption increased within the year. And then the perceived ability of whether the ruling party or the opposition can fight corruption is low, because if you look at the trend, 37% of the respondents believe that the opposition can help tackle corruption, and 34% believe that the ruling party can't tackle corruption. Don't forget also that the research has shown that government has performed very, very badly in fighting corruption. And I think right now the trust remains with the ordinary Ghanaian, because that is where they have rather shown interest, that the ordinary Ghanaian is the one who can help fight corruption. The research looked at how the ordinary Ghanaian can help in combating corruption, and they think that it is by reporting corruption and then refusing to take bribes. And while others also said that there is nothing the ordinary person can do to stop corruption. They also found out reasons for people not reporting corruption or, these bad acts. And 25% of the respondents believe that people don't report because of the fear of the consequences that come with it. 80% of the people said that nothing will be done. After all, even if it is reported, nothing will be done. 8% of the respondents said they believe even those in charge of those institutions themselves are corrupt. So what is there to report? Because even if you report, those who are supposed to handle the cases, they themselves are corrupt. Then the research also went on to say that everyone has a role to play in, resolving or combating corruption. But the most interesting aspect of it is that all of us, what are we supposed to do? What we gather from Ms. Linda, she's the head of the Anti-Corruption Coalition, she said that we should rather look at what breeds corruption, who are involved, who are the perpetrators. They are human beings, and we are the same people. And so once we are able to find answers to these questions, then we can make a difference. There were members of parliament present, and the deputy majority leader was rather very disheartened for the fact that there's so much mistrust for public institutions. And he's saying that this is very dangerous for our democracy. And he charged the Afrobarometer team that they shouldn't just end in just finding out what the ordinary Ghanaian thinks about and just come and present the report. They should go further to look out for what is accounting for their mistrust. What are the reasons that are being given for people to lose so much trust in public institutions? And then they must also go further to educate the people on how we can combat corruption, because they've shown so much trust in the ordinary Ghanaian. The other thing is also the fact that it looks as if the ruling government and all the opposition parties, the people have lost trust in both of them. And so now the power lies with the ordinary Ghanaian. And so basically, they have been saying that mistrust for democratic institutions is high. And if you look at 7 out of 10 Ghanaians believing that government has performed very badly in fighting corruption, then it means that we have a long way to go as a country. And this is what the country must start fighting, so that we can achieve something better for the country. Gladys.
Do we have some government officials reacting to these findings?
Yes, like I said, the deputy majority leader, he just reacted to it, and he feels that it's dangerous for people to, have mistrust for public institutions. We also had a member of parliament who was really passionate. His fear is that there is so much trust for the military, because in 1992 there was so much fear. There was so much fear for, people were so much afraid of the military. And so if now people are rather trusting the military, then for him there is cause for alarm, because if there is democracy, and according to him, he was part of the veterans who fought for democracy in this country, and he feels that rather we should be thinking of how to grow the democracy we're enjoying. And if we're not rather having trust in democratic institutions and rather trusting military, then for him it's cause for alarm, and we must all be worried about it.
But their reaction, are they also trying to suggest the way forward?
Yes, if you listen to the deputy majority leader, what he said was that for him, he will carry the information to Parliament, and so that the House will sit wholly and look at how best these issues can be resolved. But he also charged the researchers that, listen, you can't just come and present the reports as they are, but you have to go further to look out for what is accounting for the mistrust for public institutions. And then also, how can you coach the ordinary Ghanaian to ensure that we can all, join hands in combating corruption?
All right, Aisha, thank you so much. Aisha Ibrahim is our correspondent for Parliament, and she sat in the Afrobarometer findings that has just revealed that corruption is on the increase and government has done very little to address the menace. We'll keep you posted as to how things unfold in that sense. Moving on, the Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana, POTAG, in August called off its 3-month-long strike over research and book allowance. POTAG began their nationwide strike in May over government's plan to scrap the book and research allowance and establish a national research fund. I have been joined online by the General Secretary of POTAG, Ibrahim Adamu, who is telling us a bit more about how their meeting. POTAG actually was in a meeting this morning, and the meeting, we are told, has just ended. So Ibrahim will tell us how the meeting went. Hello, Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Hello, thank you. Good afternoon, my dear. And good afternoon to your listeners.
Yes, Ibrahim, what really transpired? What have you resolved?
Well, we have no choice than to call on government to act with speed and immediacy, because this matter has lingered on for far too long, and we're just afraid that campuses may boil out again in terms of members waiting and not hearing anything, and all of the things that go with it. As you have rightly indicated, this strike was called off on the understanding that the payment of the allowances was going to commence immediately. As we speak to you now, there hasn't been any payment whatsoever to any lecturer in any polytechnic or university, so far as book and research allowance for 2013-2014 academic year is concerned. Yet we have, commenced another academic year. Meanwhile, the whole issue is still, unresolved. So we have to, look at the issue and give government, we have not given government ultimatum. The ultimatum or the time duration that we send government to pay is if not anywhere from now, today, tomorrow, latest by Monday. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Adamu. We can hear you.
Yes. So that is what we have resolved in brief. But our Congress is still ongoing, and I'm sure at the end of it, we will be coming out with a strong statement regarding our position. But we think that the sooner it is paid, the better for all of us.
Okay, so if by Monday, government still it's in its feet, not responding to you positively, what happens?
That one we'll just keep the card to our chest, and then let's see what happens by Monday and Tuesday.
Are we going to be seeing another more strikes from you?
At this point, we will not want to preempt anything, but it's one of the possibilities.
Apart from strike, what else can be done?
That is a very good question. We have written, we have, reminded our employer, stakeholders over and over again. We have been very diplomatic, we have been very patient, and I think that a lot of people will be receiving this news, with some degree of shock and dismay that as at this day, there hasn't been any, payment on this whole book and research mainly that took us into a 3.5-month strike, a very bitter experience that people don't want to even, remember.
I see, right. So we're really hoping for the best. We don't really look forward to any more strikes because we need you in the classroom as students are on standby to also grab whatever impacting you have to do. So we hope it doesn't get there. We really do hope government would listen to you and not let it get there.
We just hope so, but now government is giving us the impression that they don't take this matter seriously. Coming out of the fact that the good faith that have been attached to the MOU we signed appears to have been thrown out there. Otherwise, we should have been talking about this matter at all. We should be, talking about what lies ahead. So far as this academic year is concerned, there are several issues that have to do with fine-tuning or realigning tertiary education in Ghana and the like. And not to bog ourselves down with 2010, 2014 academic year, book and research allowance, and all of that. At least if some payment was made, we would have been, certified that our employers committed to, resolving the matter of paying the allowance. At least we all appreciate or work on the times in which we are, and those therefore with good faith, with commitment. I mean, any well-meaning Ghanaian will be ready to understand and to compromise on this situation. We have, compromised. We have been very patient, but there's too much of patience. We are here to be abused.
All right.
We have been taken for granted, and we want to use the media to call on government to respond to this matter with the speed and alacrity that it deserves, so that we don't, get ourselves into any unfortunate situation again. We're just hoping that the stakeholders out there, government for that matter, is listening and would respond accordingly.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adamu. We have been talking to Ibrahim Adamu. Ibrahim Adamu is the General Secretary of POTAG, and he has been telling us what the union has actually resorted to. So we do hope that there won't be more strikes coming from them. Moving on, the Bolgatanga Senior High School in the Upper East region, as said earlier, has been closed down, and the closure follows the arrest of 5 students after an overnight rampage by some students protesting the death of their colleague. I have been joined online by my colleague, Albert Sori. Albert Sori is the Upper East regional correspondent, and he will be telling us a bit more how the whole situation is looking like now. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Gladys.
Yes, so we spoke with you during news desk, and what can you tell us now? What more is happening?
Well, the school is empty now. The students were given 1 hour to vacate the school, and the security officials tasked to make sure that all the students leave the school within 1 hour. So the students have all left the campus, and the campus is empty, with the exception of a few teachers and some other staff of the school who were there at their office. You couldn't see, well, you can't see any of the students still on the campus. But we've also been speaking to the mother of the deceased boy. Earlier, we spoke with the senior housemaster of the school, and he told us about the other senior housemaster, who is his assistant, and he is a person the students were accusing of preventing them from helping their other colleagues when to tell. Now, the school authority, from what Stephen Awasna, who is the senior housemaster of the school, told us, is that they think that the students wrongly accused the other senior housemaster, and so essentially confirming the story as told to us by the senior housemaster who was accused. Now, what is happening is that the school authority thinks that the students told us the wrong story, and so they spoke to the mother of the boy, and she told them that the boy had already sent a message that he was not feeling well and wanted to come home. And so they sent him money, and the money was supposed to have arrived today for the students to go home for checkup when the unfortunate incident happened yesterday. When we spoke to the mother on Joy FM, she told us essentially the same thing about the fact that the students had a hernia operation he had complained that he had waist pains and wanted to come home. But then the incident happened. And also, when they got to the school, the students told them the same story that they had told us before. Now, she says that she wants the matter investigated. And if this senior housemaster is guilty of what the students are accusing him of, then justice should be done.
I see. Has the cause of the student's death been established now?
Not yet. We are still waiting on the...
Hello, Albert. Could you speak up a bit for us? It's hard to hear you.
Yes, I'm saying that the police are yet to come out with that. Earlier, the police PRO, Thomas Agbenyo, told us that they will have to get the results of an autopsy report, and then they can tell us what the actual cause of the boy's death is. And as we were speaking to him early this morning, they were still trying to get the person who will do the autopsy to come into town to do it. So for now, we don't have the results of what actually happened to the boy. His body is still at the Bolgatanga Hospital mortuary.
I see. All right, so Albert, please keep your ears down and get us more information concerning that unfortunate happening in the Bolgatanga Senior High School. Chief of the Alavanyo traditional area in the Volta region, Togbi Jede Atakra, has described as harsh the imposition of a 14-hour curfew on his town and neighboring Nkonya Township. The curfew was imposed in response to a shooting incident last Friday and on November 21, 2014. The incident last Friday left one person dead and another person injured. A statement from the Interior Ministry signed by Deputy Minister James Agalga said the curfew will start from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m., an extension on a previous 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew time. I have been joined online by the Volta Regional Police PRO DSP Nicholas Esiamayabwa. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, my sister.
What is the situation like in the two areas, that is Alavanyo and Nkonya, at the moment?
Yeah, the two places are calm. Security has been reinforced. We have a whole lot of patrol teams in the area. Apart from the local police, there is the division and the district. Men have been drawn from all other areas, including the regional police headquarters, and they have been deployed there to beef up security in the area. We have plainclothes men too, who are doing the underground cover investigation. As I'm talking to you now, the places are calm and secure. Even not only that, since we are entering or we have entered the Xmas festivity, security in the whole region has been reinforced to make sure that law-abiding citizens in the region go about their Christmas activities without fear.
Are the military involved in this curfew, ensuring that everybody is safe?
No, we have other security agencies. We have other security agencies complementing the effort of the police. We have even BNI. We have the military and all other security agencies that within peace to complement the effort of the police to make sure that peace is restored in the area. So yes.
We understand the chief has also called on your security agency and government to reconsider the extension of the curfew. How is the appeal coming through?
For that, as I'm talking to you now, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of what you just said, and for that matter, I will not be able to comment on it. But I will check, as you have said it. I will check, and if there is any other thing, I will let you know. But for now, that information has not come to my notice.
All right, so at least it's good to know there is peace and order. There's calm in Nkonya and
Alavanyo. Yes, there is. Now there is.
All right.
The security situation in the areas have been beefed up, as I said earlier on. And the law-abiding citizens are going on with their activities without any hindrance.
All right, thank you so much. We have been talking to DSP, police PRO DSP in Nkonya and Alabanyo Township. He was updating us on security presence in the town. Calm has been restored, as he puts it. Let's catch a breather here. When we come back, more stories. If you have just joined, you are watching News Today here on Joy News on Multi TV. The Netherlands ambassador to Ghana is urging government to focus on the effective management of the country's macroeconomic situation if it is to see a boost in investor confidence. According to him, the blow dealt to the country's economy in 2014 due to excessive spending has affected the confidence of many investors in the country. As such, they need to revive that confidence. He adds, though, that the prospects of the country remain bright and is hopeful that the intervention of the IMF will help the country achieve targets set in the 2015 budget. He also has been speaking of the need for Ghanaian investors to invest in the local economy.
Absolutely, Ghana is still attractive, but it is important to get the macroeconomic situation under control, to give confidence to Ghanaian citizens, but also to investors. And I think that the current budget and the program that the government is negotiating with the IMF are really important elements in bringing this confidence. So I'm quite optimistic. Ghanaian investors need to do this. You sometimes expect too much of the government to invest, but there's a lot of money in this country that people invest in real estate or in trade or put the money outside, but that money needs to be invested in the Ghanaian economy. And I see a shift there now, because what Ghana needs is economic stability, consolidation of the role of government in the economy. And I think with this new budget that leaves more space for the private sector. So I think that's a good thing. And because in the end of the day, the private sector needs to drive growth. And from the Dutch government, that is also what we try to promote the private sector, particularly in the field of agriculture, because we feel there's a lot to gain for Ghanaian businesses there.
President of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Sete J. Ba, is urging government to do more to ensure reliable supply of electricity, as it is affecting doing business in Ghana. He noted, even as government is trumpeting Ghanaians to purchase made-in-Ghana goods, this cannot be possible if power supply is not adequate.
Now, we are talking about promoting made-in-Ghana goods. As I speak to you today, just Sunday, about 30 local manufacturers went to Guinea-Bissau with support to promote made-in-Ghana goods. Then they come back, we cannot have electricity to produce for them to go again. Then all the effort comes to zero. So we think that so long as production is concerned in Ghana, nothing should stop electricity or water or anything that will be to the disadvantage of the various organizations or factories. We need to produce so that we can get the needed income. We need to produce so that we can export to stabilize our city. We need to produce so that we can use exactly what we're talking about, made in Ghana goods. If the goods are not there, all the noise comes to zero. Why do we do promotions where we don't have the goods that we supply to Ghanaians? People are not buying perfume rice because they don't like Ghana rice. What is the quantity of the Ghana rice that we have? We need to have the volume to supply to people. I always use beer as an example. Why are people not importing a lot of beer from outside? Because the beer companies in Ghana are able to produce the right quantities at the right price. So people will prefer to go and buy Star, Club, and other things because they are on the market at the right price, at the right quality they want. In the same way, other produces. Let's try to get the right quantity at the right price, and Ghanaians will consume made in Ghana goods. So that is the problem we have. We are doing promotion. We're going to other West African countries to make sure that we introduce made in Ghana goods. And we come back home, we cannot produce to go and satisfy those markets. Then we shouldn't do such investment. But we are doing because we have confidence in our manufacturers. And we should give them every support, including electricity, to be able to produce.
Economist Professor Peter Cortes says although government needs to raise revenues, there is no need to overtax the same set of Ghanaians who are paying taxes. He says government must broaden the tax net with the use of the national identification system to include the informal sector to raise revenues.
I agree, government certainly needs to raise revenue. So it is good it raises income from all the needed sources. But my question is, have we exhausted all the possible sources before overtaxing the same people? I would have preferred that no new taxes were introduced, but rather we broaden the base so the number of people who pay are expanded. I often cite the case of the informal sector, where they don't pay income tax. The artisans we see, the masons, the carpenters, and all the artisans we see hardly pay income tax. But those of us who work in the formal sector, once your income hits 132 cedis a month, you start paying tax. Whereas these are people who in a day, on a daily basis, are paid like 40 Ghana cedis. So if you do the calculation, some earn as much as 600 Ghana cedis, and yet they don't pay taxes. So I would expect to see the use of the national identification system or the expansion of the tax identification system to include such people and then get them to pay taxes so that we can raise more revenue domestically.
The number of mobile telephony service subscribers is on the verge of reaching 30 million. Data released by the sector regulator National Communication Authority has shown. Ghana's population, according to the World Bank, is estimated to be about 25.9 million, and the record subscriber numbers will mean that the mobile subscription penetration will reach 115.83% of the population. The September data indicates that Vodafone made the biggest gains, racking up more than 181,000 new subscribers, a 2.7% jump over the previous month's data. Glo Mobile was also recorded an over 70,000 increase in subscriber numbers, making it a third successive month of achieving growth. MTN controls a huge chunk of the market share with its 45% stake. Its closest contender, Vodafone, with about 6.8 million subscribers, accounts for 23% of the market share.